Hi guys, good morning, happy Monday. I just want to wish you guys a good week, and hopefully everybody had a great weekend. I had a great weekend. I have no complaints, to be honest, so I'm just vibing out today. So I just wanted to come in and wish you guys a good week, to be honest, and all that good stuff. Like I'll always say I never have complaints because, I've been through so much, and it's like, I feel like God always had my back, regardless of what I went through. Like, He never gave up on me. Like, there's times where, like, I would be stuck, like, literally stuck. And, like, my car would break down or something, right? And I would not, like, there's times where I wanted to give up. And there's times where I didn't think I was going to make it. And all of a sudden, something crazy would happen to where I'll be out of the situation, Or God would come through literally, either through other people or something, or just in general, something would just happen to where I'd be okay and I'd be relieved from the situation, at least for a little bit, And so, I mean, there's times where I literally didn't think I was going to make it, and so that's why I always say I never have any complaints, because regardless of what's going on in my life, no matter how detrimental it is or how hard or like discouraging it is, I always say that I have no complaints because I've been through worse, and alone too, by myself, to where there's times I didn't even, there's like a lot of times where I've been alone, and actually going through like things that were detrimental to me, and there's a lot of times I didn't know I was going to make it out certain situations, and I still did, and so that's why, like, regardless of what's going on in my life, no matter how hard it is or how horrible it is or anything like that, I always find peace within myself because I know that God will help me out of any situation, and I don't think He'll put anything on me that's too hard for me to handle, because I've been through worse, and so like certain things that happens to me is just like another day to me, to be honest, because I've seen too much, and so I know that He helped me a lot, because too, another thing, like, I know that He helps me because I have dreams. Like, He'll send me dreams all the time, right, and showing me the future pretty much of what's going to happen and stuff. And so I already knew something was going to happen to me back in 2012 because He said it, but I didn't know it was going to be like the severity of it or what was going to actually occur. But He told me back in 2012 in my dream, that I mentioned this on here before, but He told me that my life is going to be really hard and like extremely hard. But He told me all I have to do is do the right thing, regardless of how hard it becomes. Just always do the right thing, and in the end of the day, I was going to be taken care of and okay. And I remember Him telling me this, right, in my dream, and I didn't know exactly what He was talking about or what I had to go through, but I know now, it's crazy, but that was in 2012. So my kids were like babies back then, but I knew something was going to happen, and it did, So I believe in my dreams when I dream of Him too, right? So He always guided me through my dreams. So He would show me stuff that was going to happen in the future and everything. And that's why my faith is so strong, because I know that He always protect me no matter what situation I'm in or what happens to me, And on top of that, He would send me, I believe that He was sending me certain knowledge and information to actually help protect myself too, because, there's a lot of stuff going on behind my back that I really didn't know, especially like with the magic and stuff. And God, if I didn't see it, God seen it, and so I believe that's why like the Emerald Tablets came upon me, back in 2021, the beginning of 2021. That's when I received the Emerald Tablets, and if you think about it, well, I don't know if you guys heard of the Emerald Tablets, but what he speaks on a lot in the Emerald Tablets is dark magic and how to protect yourself and how to always keep your focus on the light no matter how dark it gets. And so when I was going through all these trials and tribulations and adversities and blockages, you know, I would have the emerald tablets would guide me to kind of protect myself or give me extra protection, you know. And I believe that was a gift from God, to be honest, because, you know, he probably seen a lot of stuff that was going on behind my back that I probably didn't see, you know. And so that's why I always like refer back to the emerald tablets, you know, because I know it gives you it gave me a lot of information. And I felt like I already knew what he's talking about when I first heard it, you know. And so the more that I listened to it, the more I understood it. And the more that I understood what he's talking about, and which only made me more wiser to be able to protect myself from the dark energies, right? Because he even talks in the tablets. I think it's Emerald Tablet 12, if I'm not mistaken. It might be a different one. But I know he spoke on there. He speaks on how to be able to avoid accidents and death, pretty much. And so it's so crazy because, like, my job, I would have to drive every day. And I would drive, like, all day with that job, too, just to make money, right, to get by. And the whole time, I think it was about 2 years that I did that job. I'm not for sure. But it was a long time, and I did a lot of orders and stuff, you know, and I never got in an accident, like, ever. The only thing that probably happened to my car was something I probably did. I remember Arizona, I think I drove a little bit too far down the rocks and made a dent in the front of my car. But other than that, no. I never got in an accident the whole time, you know, and I believe it's because, like, I had guidance, and especially I learned how to avoid accidents and sticky situations, you know, or at least protect myself from it by balancing out my poles and stuff, right? So the Emerald Tablets was the first one that came across my lap. So the craziest thing about that is, like, I remember in 2020 when I first left on my journey, when Corona made me think about Karina, if I don't know why, but you know, Karina, she was that's a different movie, I don't know, but I think she was magical too. I think she could use her eyes to, like, I don't know if that's the movie. I think that was a movie. Maybe that was Matilda, but I think it's the same girl. I don't know why I thought about Karina, but I think she did something like that in that movie too with the stoplight. But anyway, I don't know why I brought up that. I don't know why that name came off my mouth. Like, what? But Corona. When coronavirus got really crazy, apparently, in March of 2020. That's when I left, right? And it's crazy, like, I was guided to leave, though. Like, I had no choice. And so when I was leaving, you know, when I got on the highway back then, I would see like a lot of stuff, right? I don't know if I was going through like I was getting shown different visions of what the future, pretty much. And so while I was driving, so I was just like going through all the stuff, because I was already going through some crazy stuff, you know, regarding like my relationship and everything, right? And so in 2020, when I got on the highway, you know, I started getting more information, and I was seeing a lot of stuff, like a lot of visions and stuff as I was driving. So I don't know if I just tapped into my psychic side or what, but like one thing I remember seeing was I would play my spiritual music. There's a spiritual music I usually play because it will always make me feel good. And back in 2019 and before, you know, I would feel like I would have aches and pains through my body, like, all the time, like literally felt like swords in my body all the time, or needles or something. And it may have been from smoking cigarettes, but like I will always feel this pain, right? And every time I listen to the spiritual music, you know, it would go away, and I would feel like myself again, like my energy wise, you know. And I would just feel better, right? I wouldn't feel the pain as bad, you know. So in 2020, when I left, that's what I was listening to on the highway to kind of protect me, because I knew something was going on, but I didn't know how, like, to the severity of what was going on, you know. And so while I was driving, I was getting these visions, and God always sends me dreams though, but when I was driving, I was getting visions, I think. And so I remember seeing all this crazy stuff, right? And I remember being in this pyramid, and it was like the shaft, this little shaft on top of the pyramid. It's like not directly in the middle of the pyramid, but a little bit above the middle of the pyramid. There's like this rectangle, like entrance. And I remember seeing this as I'm driving, and my music turned, it was the same music, but it turned more ancient, right, as I was driving. And so it turns ancient, and I'm still driving, and I see myself in the middle of this pyramid. And I remember there's this guy in there, and he was sitting on the ground, but he had like this tall drum in front of him, and he's making tunes with his drum, like beating to the drum, right? And as he's beating on his drum, I just see different drums around the room, around the pyramid, inside of it, right? And then there's like this sand everywhere, right? And it was just him. And he's banging on his drum, and I'm dancing to it, right? And as I'm dancing to this beat, you know, I can hear all these people screaming. They're like, the return of Inika, the return of Inika. And everybody's happy, and they're celebrating me. But like my name, it sounded like my name, but my name was different. So I had like a different name that they were celebrating me with. But I was a dancer. It looked like I was dancing. And like everybody's just celebrating me. And then right after that, like my music ended, and my phone goes, thanks for listening, and it did a smiley face, and the my music stopped, right? And then all of a sudden, I remember I was like, God, what does this mean? Like, what the heck am I supposed to do? And that's when it said, thanks for listening, and it did a smiley face, and then my phone went blank. And when my phone went blank, it turned back on, right? I was like, what's going on? What's going on tonight? You know, it's crazy stuff going on when I left. And so my phone came back on. All I remember seeing were, like, the history on my YouTube was gone. I had no history at all. All the readers I used to listen to was gone. No history at all. Not even the music that I was just playing. All of it was gone. Like, it would look like a brand new YouTube channel. Like, if you create a new YouTube channel, that's what it looked like. Like, I didn't have any of my history. So I was like, this is weird. And so then, there's more things that happened this night, but I'm not going to mention it on here right now. But this is one of the things that happened. So after my phone goes blank, it comes back on. And I look at it, and there's these two astrologists, and they're all dressed in white. No other color but white. And behind them, they had this this map behind them, right? It looked like a map of like the galaxy, and like, so the planets and everything, and there was writing on it and stuff. But when they popped up, the only thing they said on my phone was, so my phone goes blank, and then it comes back on. And then imagine a video on YouTube, or I think it had to be on YouTube, I don't know. Who knows? But it comes back on, and like all of a sudden I just see these two astrologists. There's a man and a female, and on two different sides of the map, and they start talking to me and tell me all this stuff that's gonna happen. And so they go, so my phone pops up as them, and they go, welcome to New Earth. That's all they said. Welcome to New Earth. And I was just like, what? Is what? And then they started telling me all this information. So they're telling me a lot of stuff, right? And so then they tell one thing I remember them telling me was that, like, they go, welcome to New Earth. And they started telling me all this information, and it goes, the people that were doing dark magic to hurt other people, and to harm families and harm anybody, you know, if they're using it for bad, you know, they're not going to be able to be a part of New Earth, and they're going to be stuck in old Earth, and they're going to be stuck in a different paradigm. They're not going to be able to be a part of New Earth. And then they said all of the tarot readers that were actually doing dark magic in the background to harm the collective, secretly, all their channels are going to just, they said I'm not going to see their channels anymore. They're just going to disappear one day, and I'm not going to see their channels anymore. And that's how I'm going to know who was doing the dark magic, through tarot. And they said, and the people that the only people that are going to be giving out messages are going to be the people of the light. And it was just crazy, right? So I was like, what? Because at the time I was like new to everything. I didn't really know too much about tarot and stuff like that. So I was like, they do that? So I guess it was certain people. I don't think it's all of them, but it was certain ones that were actually using people's energy, you know, and causing harm to people, right, in the background. And so that's the first time I actually heard that, right? And so they said their channels are just, the people that were actually doing it, their channels are just going to disappear one day, and I'm not going to see them anymore. And the only people that are going to be giving out messages were going to be the people of the light. And how people in general that were doing dark magic and to hurt people, they said they're going to be stuck in the old earth and they're not going to be a part of new earth, and they're going to be stuck in a different paradigm, right? That's what the astrologist told me in 2020 when I left. And that was like in March of 2020. So that's when coronavirus was like crazy. And that's like when everybody's like buying tissue, you know, because they were saying get tissue and all this stuff. So me and the kids, we stocked up my truck with like tissue and paper towel. We were like really on it, because they had just got sick. If you guys, if I remind you guys, if you go back in my videos, I mention it on there. But I had to heal them myself, literally. And so like I was freaked out at that day, you know. So I had a lot of tissue in my trunk. I had a lot of supplies, alcohol, peroxide and everything, because I knew something bad was going to happen, but I didn't know to the severity, you know, because I was seeing everything. They were showing me everything that was going to happen. And there's more stuff that they showed me, but I'm not going to mention it on here. But like back then in 2020, I thought like, I was really like freaking out, because I've never seen anything like that before in my life. I've never been abducted before. I never had encounters with extraterrestrials, nothing. But that night, that specific night, I seen a lot, you know, and it was like a lot of information that they were just giving me about the future and what's going to happen to people that are doing dark magic on other people to harm them, and how they're going to be stuck and they're not going to be a part of New Earth. And I keep dreaming about New Earth. Like that's the first dream, that's the first encounter I had about the New Earth. And then other times, like I've had dreams after that regarding New Earth. And I don't know, but that was my first night hearing about the New Earth, was when the astrologist told me that information, right? So, I mean, later on, I would have dreams about the New Earth too. So I don't know what's going on with that, but that's my truth, what happened to me in 2020. So ever since then, I've been trying to protect myself, right? And so that's why I say God will always, I think God always had my back. I know he did, actually, because, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on behind my back that I probably didn't know about, but he saw, you know. And I think that's one of the reasons why the emerald tablets popped up in front of me randomly. And I was like interested in it when I seen it. I was like, what's this? And I clicked on a video, and it was Horus's Eye. And I listened to the end, the very end, the whole thing. I remember I was sitting on my bed in my room, and it came across my lap. And I was just like, what's this? Because I seen Horus's Eye. And that was before I even studied anything with Egypt. And I was studying stuff about Hermes, but not Egypt at that time. And so when I sit on my bed, it came across my lap, and I started listening to it. And I listened to all the tablets. And that's exactly what they're talking about in the tablets. If you think about it, well, they're talking about dark magic and how you can protect yourself from accidents and death, pretty much. And so I believe God would send me certain knowledge, information to actually help me protect myself even more, because he probably seen more stuff that was going on behind my back that I didn't see, you know. And that's why my faith is so strong, because I believe with that knowledge, it kind of helped me, shield me from the darkness, you know, and it kept me on track, because no matter how many adversities I got thrown at my way, I always think back to the tablets when he says, you know, striving. I think he speaks about striving, and he says the only way to the light is through strife, right? And so you can't really get to the light without striving, right? So he talks about like how your pathway will be really hard. and how no matter how hard it is, always keep your eyes to the light and never go to the darkness, right? And so every time I had adversities, every time I had blockages, every time I was stuck, I always kept my faith in God, and I never gave up, and I never looked to the darkness for any help. I always did it the hard way. I just literally thugged it out the hard way, literally. No matter how many people are laughing at me too, I didn't care, because I knew my heart in the end of the day. I knew I was a good person. So if they laughed at me, which they did, it made it harder, but I still ignored them, and I still kept my faith in God. And I just let him hand out the judgment, because I always say that God's judgment is the best judgment, So I just let him handle the situation. And whoever laughed at me, I let him handle that too, without me interfering, So that's why my faith is so strong. And I love him so much, because I've been through so much crap, and like a lot of the times I didn't know where it was coming from. I just knew I was kept hitting roadblocks. Like I would get so far, then my tire would pop. I'll get so far, my money gets taken out of my account randomly, and there's no trace of it. It'll just be gone. If I make a certain amount, they'll take that money. If I have any type of freedom, they'll take more money out of my account to make me negative, to work more harder, stuff like that. And so all I had was my faith, to be honest, in God, and he helped me, because if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be here today to even talk to you guys, or to even help some people that need help, or are willing to help themselves, So that's why I love God so much. I would find, like, even though I would get blocked from working and stuff, or my money in general, like, instead of worry about material stuff, I went out to nature, and I found magic in nature, literally, and I thought that was more magical than even like working my butt off, or stressing about adversities, or people trying to block me, or people laughing at me. When I was in nature, that all disappeared. My only focus was God, and like how things are beautiful, because it seemed like everything became more beautiful when I was in nature. And so I loved being in nature, regardless if that's what they were trying to get me to be homeless and stuff, or to be stuck. I found like the beauty in nature, literally. And then that's where my gifts, how I was able to practice my gifts anyway, was in nature, especially at the beach. And so that, even though, it was intended for me to suffer, that's where I found my actual courage and strength, was in nature, and meditating and meditating and focusing on myself, pretty much. So that's why I love God so much, because I wouldn't have made it, to be honest with you guys, if it wasn't for him. So I believe he would send me certain knowledge to protect myself even more, and that's why I love the Emerald Tablet so much. And there's other ones I study too. I think it's the Kabbalion, which is a hermetic study guide, and they teach you in there how to polarize your emotions, polarize yourself to a certain polarize yourself to a certain state, to where negativity can't touch you, or it won't affect the way that you think, so you can always be in a positive mindset if you want, or be in a certain mindset that you actually want. So it teaches you how to polarize yourself to a certain polarization that you choose, right? So that's why a lot of times if I go through like detrimental things, like I still am able to overcome it, because I know how to polarize my emotions, so I don't go be irate or go crazy or do certain things I'm not supposed to do, right? So that was another guy that actually helped. So he sent me a lot of guides and a lot of knowledge on how to protect myself, because he knew how dark it was, even if I didn't know. So that's why I love God so much. But anyway, I don't want to talk you guys' heads off too much today, but I just wanted to come and say hi, wish you guys a good week, of course, per usual. But I love you guys, and I'm probably gonna go vibe out for the rest of the day. So hopefully you guys have a good week, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Love you.